Hi friends, welcome to my channel. In this video, we are going to learn about MongoDB and we'll start from basic and we'll move to advanced concepts of it. And here we are going to do it from scratch. We'll first install MongoDB and then we'll gradually move towards writing queries, inserting objects and so on. So yeah, let's get started. So this is MongoDB site. From here we can log in. First we have to log in order to create MongoDB URL and then use it in our projects or in our system. We have to first log in to MongoDB and get ourselves registered. So let's have a quick look on it. So here is a form. We need to fill this out. So here we are going to select the free model. So yeah, free AWS. It will select the region from here. Now name of the cluster, let's keep it Viticoder. Okay. Now, okay, let's create this now. So now it's asking to set a username and password for same. So let's take the default ones that we have. Okay, or instead just keep it. So yeah, now after setting it all, this window comes up. Here we have to select what we want to do. If you want to use it for your project, we can simply click on add data and start moving, or you can use data modeling templates. But as we are learning MongoDB here, so let's move with load sample data and configure this. So it will take some time, and then we will start with our queries and all. So now let's click on connect and let's connect to the database itself. So we'll be using shell. Okay, so let's give a try. Okay, so here is a setup. Now you can choose your operating system accordingly and install MongoDB in your system. I have it installed in my system, so we'll move on to connect the string. I have, let's paste this. Okay, now we have logged in, like we have connected the MongoDB to our system. Now let's check. Let's have help first and see what are the commands that we are going to use. So we can use show to check the databases. So let's try it. So here, the all the sample data that we have loaded, like on the web page, it is now loaded, and we can see like 52 MB of Airbnb and so on. We have all this thing installed here. So yeah, now let's get started with the. Before starting the query, let's have a look on the databases that are created in MongoDB cluster. So for that, let's go back to the MongoDB page. So here it is. Now here we can see browse collection. So we can have a look now. As you can see, this is these many collections. Similarly, if we go to this training one, here we have companies and grades. So for basic knowledge, let's start with this grades, as it has only a class ID and student ID along with scores array, which contains dictionary with type and score of that particular type. So let's start working on this first, and then we'll move on to the advanced queries. So as said, let's have a look on the grades collection first. For that, we need to go inside sample training. So we have switched to sample training, and now let's check grades. So here is the same thing that we have seen on the web page. Now let's try to limit. Now how limit will help us, like suppose currently it has given these many entries, right? And now if you just want one or two entry to check whether the data is fine or not, so in that case we can use limit and we can pass a number in it. Accordingly it will give that much documents. Okay, so yeah, now to query something in MongoDB, Okay, we'll take one moment and we'll try to find the query of this. Okay, so if you check this entry, here we have a object ID. This object ID is unique, and MongoDB assigns a unique object ID every time an object is created. Yeah, this is unique for all the entries. Now, if we see student ID is one, scores is a list, and inside list we have multiple key value pairs. Okay, and when we move on, we have a class ID here. Okay, so now let's try to find out how many students are there with class ID of 325. Okay, so for that we need to go to db.collection, that is grades dot find. What we have to find? Student with class ID. So class ID of 325. Okay, so there are n number of entries. Now let's find out how many entries are there and count it out. So for that we have to use count function. So it says it has 211 entries. This is another way to count those entries. For that, instead of writing find here, we can simply say count documents. So this is a new function that MongoDB has introduced in the latest versions. So for that, you have to write count and pass in the queries. So it will give the total number of entries that are present in this, or documents present in the collection. Okay, now see, we have done get. Now let's try to update all the student having class ID as 325. Okay, so for that, let's try to add one more key and we'll say updated true. So how we're going to achieve that? db.grades dot update one, and we'll have to write the query here, on which, like, it's a where clause, we can say whichever entry or document satisfies the condition, in that this is going to change. Now as we are using update one, it will update only in one of the entry and not all. So class ID equals 325, and what we are going to do, we have to specify here. So let's try to add updated. Let's try to set a key. So for that we have to use $set, and what we are going to set in it. So we will add a new key, which is updated is equals to true, and let's see what happens next. Okay, so here we can see acknowledged true. Okay, inserted 0. So as we are just uh, updating a value, so it's null here. Now matched count, it has matched to one count, and modified count is 1. So it has only updated the query. Okay, so now let's try to check whether it's true or not. So for that, again we have to get all the document with class ID 325. So for that, again find, and here we can see the first entry has a key equals updated true, right? So now let's do one more thing. Let's try to remove the key. So for that we will be using unset. Yeah, so here we were using set to set updated equals true. Now let's unset this. So what, let's see what it is going to do. So here it has made the changes. Now let's again try to find out all the entries. So db.grades.find class ID as 325, and we'll just try to print only one entry because we don't need others. So limit 1, here. So it has removed that entry that was here. So we have done update 1. Now let's try with update many. Okay, now we are again using the command that was update 1. Okay, now let's try to change it to update many. Again same pattern, that will here will be the query. Here what we are going to do, let's set $set, and we will say updated many, updated underscore many, and will pass true. Okay, and let's see what happens, what it does. I hope everything is closed. Now here we can see total matched count is 211 and modified count are 211. So which means that it has updated all the entries having class ID as 325 and it has changed it to true. Okay, now let's verify it again. So for this we are going to use again find class, okay, ID as 325, and let's see. Now here we can see updated many equals true, updated many equals true in all these conditions. So let's cross verify this. For this, what we are going to do, instead of writing class ID here, we can use updated many equals true. Updated many equals true. Okay, so my bad. Here I have written you dated instead of updated. So let's do the same here. You dated here. Oh, my bad. So here we can see we have all the entries, and let's count all these entries. It should come up to 211. So yeah, as we can see here, 211 entries are there with updated many equals true. Now let's unset this and move to the next type of query. Okay. So for unsetting also, we are going to do the same things. Okay. First clear the screen and then we'll simply unset this. Okay. Unset. Now it's done. Again, we'll try to print and cross verify it and then we'll move to the next one. Okay. So here we can see now there are over zeros entry with you dated. Actually, it was updated, but by mistake, it was a typo. So we have you dated many true and we have count as 0. So we have no more entries here. So we have set and unset. This is how you can add a key or remove a key in MongoDB. Okay. So what we have learned, first we have learned that it was how to retrieve an entry from MongoDB collections. First we did that. Now we have updated it and again fetched it and checked whether the things are done or not. So we have done two operations, that is retrieving and updating. Now let's go and check how we can insert a query. For inserting, we have to write db.grades, db.grades, okay, dot insert one, insert one, and we'll pass in the object that we want to create. So for our instance, let's give one more key that should be student name so that we can easily find it out. So it would be student name. Let's set this as BT coder. Okay, we'll close this. Now student ID as let's pass 601. Okay, and class ID as let's pass 300. Let's pass 3000 here to make it unique. Okay, so we have 3000, and yeah, so for scores we can pass in type test score 78. Okay, so now let's insert this. MongoDB has generated a unique object ID. Here it is, and acknowledged true means the entry is created. To verify it, now let's again find it out. For that we have to write db.grades, and now as we have the object ID itself, so we will simply use it in the query. So for that, what we need to do, we'll copy this, okay, and underscore ID equals like colon, and we'll pass in the query and close the brackets. Let's see, here it is. So student ID was 601. Yes, it's true. Then class ID was 3000. Again, it's true. And score, it was a array which has some documents inside it or dictionaries inside it. So this is also created, right? Now let's delete this entry and complete all the basic operations of CRUD, that was create, retrieve, update, and delete. So here we just have one entry, so we'll simply say delete one. Okay, now to delete this we have to use same thing. We'll just change find to delete one. So here is acknowledge true, deleted count one. So it has deleted this particular entry. Now let's try to find this out whether we have this or not. So for this, uh, let's find it out again. So here we can see MongoDB has returned 0 entries. So there are no entry existing with this particular ID anymore. So this is how we have performed all the CRUD operations on basic CRUD operations. Now in the next phase, we are going to perform all the CRUD operations on arrays and dictionaries, how we can add condition inside the arrays, how we can add condition in dictionaries, in multiple like nested dictionary or nested objects. So how we are going to achieve that, we'll be learning further.